Hi, I'm Wayne Allen Root for Personal Liberty, and what a story I have for you. I believe I've uncovered the story of the year in politics. It was sitting there for anyone to see. All I did was connect the dots. But when you add the pieces of the puzzle together, you find a picture of the greatest act of fraud in world history. You see, it's increasingly clear that the 2012 elections, both presidential and Senate, were stolen by Obama, the Democratic Party, the IRS, and government employee unions. It's right out of a mob movie like The Godfather. The Obama crime family could give the mob lessons. Don Obama plays for keeps. The Don gets what he wants, and when he found himself in danger of losing his power, the presidency, Obama went to his enforcers, the IRS. In a story reminiscent of the mob fixing union elections, the IRS enforcers conspired to destroy Don Obama's main competition, the Tea Parties and other conservative fundraising groups. Lois Lerner was only one of many IRS big shots in Washington, D.C. who gave orders to IRS offices across the country to kill the Tea Parties and other conservative groups. Their goal? Steal the election. As of only days ago, the fall gal retired from the IRS. Poor baby. We can only guess what kind of massive payoff she received from Obama's donors in a Swiss bank account. The 2010 elections were the biggest embarrassment suffered by a U.S. president in modern history. The power, energy, and passion of the Tea Party won the GOP an amazing 63 House seats, 6 Senate seats, 6 governorships, and 680 seats in state legislatures. It was an historic landslide. Obama's entire agenda was threatened, yet the mainstream media expects us to believe that only 2 years later, in 2012, Tea Party energy and passion were gone overnight. Or perhaps they all changed back to fans of Obama and the Democratic Party. What a fairy tale. The real story is that the Obama administration ordered the IRS to delay, distract, hound, harass, and intimidate Tea Party groups across the USA. That was the kill. Without IRS attacks and interference, Tea Parties would have had the same influence and momentum as 2010, when their raging energy and passion led to a shocking landslide defeat for Obama and his allies. There's no need to question or debate any longer. We now have emails from IRS officials stating exactly that the Tea Parties had to be stopped if Democrats wanted to win the election, and that conservative donations had to be stalled if Democrats wanted to retain control of the U.S. Senate. Instead of massive Tea Party rallies and record-setting fundraising for conservative candidates, Tea Party groups are busy being distracted, hounded, harassed, and intimidated by the IRS. They were busy being asked about the names of their members, the names of their speakers, the content of their Facebook posts, and even the content of their prayers. Look it up. It's all factual. Conservative media personalities like yours truly were attacked with vicious IRS audits, as were pro-life, pro-Israel, and pro-Constitution groups. The tax-deductible status of Tea Party groups was purposely stalled so they couldn't raise money for the 2012 election, or they would have raised twice as much. You wouldn't call that fraud? If a union used union goons and thugs to intimidate, frighten, and distract employees into voting for unionization, isn't that fraud? How is using the IRS to intimidate, frighten, and distract conservatives any different? To fix an election. What the biased liberal mainstream media refuses to do is connect the dots. None of them have the courage to state that the fix was in, that a fraud perpetrated by government employees handed control of the United States of America to Obama, a politician who supports government employees and their unions. What did the IRS get out of this? The answer is pure bribery. Republicans, and in particular Tea Partiers like me, believe in limited government, smaller budgets, fewer government employees, and cutting bloated salaries, obscene pensions, and early retirement for government employees. Another Tea Party landslide, the second in a row, would have threatened the power of government employee unions. Many government employees would have been laid off. Does anyone believe it's a coincidence that Obama met with the IRS union boss Colleen Kelly at the White House the day before the targeting of Tea Parties by the IRS began? If you do, I have a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn. Barack Obama was fraudulently reelected. Our country was hijacked by government employees protecting their cushy lifetime jobs, bloated salaries, obscene pensions, and powerful unions. Think I'm wrong? Evidently, IRS officials don't. Several of them have been busy hiring famous and expensive law firms to defend themselves, the kind that charge $1 million for a legal defense. Where are they getting the money? Is Obama arranging for big Democratic donors like George Soros or union political action funds to pay their legal bills? Is Obama scared to death of what these IRS bosses would say under oath? Could their testimony end his presidency and destroy his legacy? In the end, It's clear to anyone who hasn't been brainwashed by government schools or bribed by government checks or works for government that the 2012 election was fraudulently stolen by Barack Obama and government employees. What did Obama, Democrats, and the IRS gain? Well, first, the right to continue to loot the Treasury with bailout, stimulus, corporate welfare, and government contracts to Obama's friends, donors, loyal media lackeys, and corrupt union bosses. Second, the right to continue to redistribute income from the business owners who vote Republican to Obama's voters, the poor, unions, and government employees like the IRS. Third, the ability to save Obamacare and unionize 15 million healthcare workers, thereby raising $15 billion in union dues to elect Democrats, and of course, to overwhelm middle-class families with $20,000 annual health insurance bills they can never pay, thereby addicting them to government handouts. Fourth, the IRS itself gains tremendously. They're now in charge of policing Obamacare. They're the most powerful organization in the country. It also adds thousands of new IRS agents, Obamacare does, thereby greatly enriching the IRS union. Fifth, the opportunity to pass immigration amnesty, thereby producing up to 20 million new loyal Democratic voters. Sixth, the opportunity to bankrupt business owners and permanently weaken the private sector, thereby drying up donations for conservative candidates and causes. Seventh, the ability to keep America energy dependent by using the EPA and executive orders to literally ban or damage domestic coal, oil, fracking, and nuclear energy production. Eighth, 4 more years to disarm law-abiding American citizens. And finally, ninth, the opportunity to weaken America's influence all over the world, especially the Middle East, see Egypt, Libya, and Syria. Obama's re-election also means he may serve long enough to appoint 1 or 2 more Supreme Court justices whose radical leftist views will ensure America is permanently transformed to a big government socialist nation. This wasn't just any theft, folks. It was $1 trillion theft. The Obama crime family so far has gotten away with the greatest and most daring act of fraud in world history. They stole the election. I'm Wayne Allen Root for Personal Liberty. See you next week. Same time, same place. God bless America and protect us from the thieves, frauds, and criminals who have literally stolen our country and our government. Bye-bye.